Lesson 3, Represent and Use the Percent Equation. In this lesson, we will focus our energies on representing and solving percent problems using an equation. The essential question for this lesson asks, how are percent problems related to proportional reasoning? Let's first look at example 1. In this example, we are going to work to find the percent. In science class, students compared their vertical reach and height to see if they are proportional. Maria is 60 inches tall and can reach 75 inches high. What percent of her total vertical reach is her height? Use proportional reasoning to develop the percent equation. So this is what we're going to focus on first, is what does that equation look like? So in the bar diagram, you can see that the height, Maria's actual height number, is the part, that's the 60. Her vertical reach is the whole, that's 75 inches. And then we have our percent that we're looking for out of 100 right there. So as we set up the proportion, we do like we have been for several lessons now. The part over the whole equals the percent over 100. Now, in order to get a percent equation, what we're going to do is solve this as if it were an equation. And to do that, we're going to take the value P over 100, and we're going to divide that in order to get the decimal. And the decimal is equal to the percent. Okay, and it's equal to that percent value. So when you see the word percent here, this is the percent in decimal form. So what we're doing is we are solving this equation so that we can have everything on one line horizontally. So we multiply both sides of the equation by the whole, because that's in the denominator, so you can see here it cancels out. And when I multiply the percent times the whole, that remains on the right side. So the proportion actually is equal to this equation here. Part equals percent times whole. So this is what we call the percent equation. Okay, you're going to hear that equation a whole bunch of times now because that's what we're going to use to solve our percent problems. Now, in this problem, the height is the part. So the part is Maria's height, which is 60 inches. And the whole value is her vertical reach, which is 75 inches. So we substitute in what we know for her height and her vertical reach, and then we solve that equation. So this is what that solving process looks like over here. 60 equals P times 75. So we are going to divide both sides by 75, and P equals 60 divided by 75, which is 0.8 on your calculator. Now, in order to change this decimal back into a percent, we are going to multiply by 100 and add the percent symbol. That's where we get 80%. So Maria's height is 80% of her vertical reach. Now let's try a different problem. The try it below example 1 is next. An elephant weighs 15,000 pounds on Earth and 2,500 pounds on the moon. Assuming the weights are proportional, what percent of its weight on Earth is its weight on the moon? Well, we have our percent equation that says part equals percent times whole. So the whole is the 15,000. That's how much the elephant weighs on Earth. The percent is what we're looking for, and the part is how much it weighs on the moon, which is 2,500. So in order to solve this, we're going to take that 2,500 and we're going to divide both sides by 15,000. Because that 15,000 is what's being multiplied times the variable p. That's what we're looking for. So in order to find that percent value, you're going to actually physically do 2,500 divided by 15,000. And what you get is a decimal that repeats. In order to change this to a percent, leave the repeating decimal in your calculator and multiply by 100. And you still get a repeating decimal, but this time you at least have digits in front of the decimal point. Now, we are going to round this because they do say about how much, what percent is that elephant's weight on the moon. So we would round this to about 17%. In the convince me for this try it question, it asks us, how does the percent describe how the weights are related? Well, in this case, what it means is the elephant's weight on the moon is about 17% of its weight on the Earth. Let's move on to example 2. Example 2. Now we're going to work to find the part. Many states have a meal tax that is proportional to the total spent on food and beverages. In one state, the meal tax is 8 4400%. How much tax will a customer pay if the food and beverages total $54? For this question, the part is the amount of tax, and the one whole is the total food bill. So as we're setting this up and using that percent equation, part equals percent times whole, we need to know that the part is the amount of tax and the whole is what the bill was before that tax. So what our job is to find that tax amount, and we can do that by multiplying the percent times the whole. In this case, the percent is 8 4400 times B, which stands for the bill. That means how much the food and beverages were. Now, what we have to do is change that percent into a decimal. So this percent in the equation has to be written in its decimal form. And remember, we get that by taking that 8 4400 and you can hit the percent key, which is the same as dividing it by 100 to get 844 10,000ths. The 54, remember, is the total amount spent on food and beverages. And multiplying those two numbers, the percent times the whole, will give you the amount of tax that is owed. In this case, you have an amount here that's way over the 2 decimal places that we need for money. So we're going to have to round. In this case, I round at the 5 and I look next door. Hang on, that got all jumbled up there. Let's try that again. I look next door to the 5 and I ask myself, is this going to stay 55 cents or is it going to go up to 56 cents? Since the following number is a 7, that tells the 55 cents to go up another penny. So that means that the customer will need to pay $4.56 in tax. Example 3. Now let's find the whole. So we're still using our percent equation, which says part equals percent times whole. In this problem, we are going to be finding the whole amount, which is the piece that is missing. they're going to tell us the part and the percent. Jane earns 5.5% commission on the selling price of each home she sells. She earned $9,020 in commission on the sale of a home. What was the selling price of the home? Well, the selling price is the one whole. That's how much the house cost. The part is how much she makes in commission. Remember, commission is that extra money that you get on top of your salary or your wages, and you earn that for doing a good job. In this problem, they tell us the commission percent is 5.5%. So we're going to need to change that into its decimal form by using the percent key, or you can hit divide by 100. And when you do that, you get this decimal in you get this percent number in the form of its decimal equivalent. So 5.5% is equal to 55 hundredths in its decimal form. That's the form of the number that we have to use when we transition from our equation into the part where we solve. So the part that we know is how much commission she made. That's the $9,020 that she earned from selling the house. What we don't know is how much the house was to begin with. This is the selling price of the home, and they've represented that with the variable H. In order to know the selling price of the home, we have to take that percent number in its decimal form, 55 thousandths right here, and we're going to divide both sides of the equation by that value. So H is equal to 9,020 divided by 55 thousandths. And what that equals is 164,000, which means that's the cost of the home. Try it. To make a profit, a clothing store sells jeans at 115% of the amount they paid for them. How much did the store pay for the jeans shown? So this is how much they sell them for. What we want is, what did the store pay to get those jeans at their shop in order to sell them to customers? We need to go back to our percent equation. Part equals percent times whole. And we're going to need to change that 115% into its decimal form. So if you type 115 and the percent key, you get 1 and 15 hundredths. So that's the piece that's going to go into my percent equation in the place of the percent number. The part is what they're selling the jeans for to the customers. That's the $28. What I need to know is, how much did the store pay for those jeans before they sold them to the customers? So I'm looking for the whole, which is what the store paid. In order to solve this, we have a multiplication equation, so we're going to need to do the inverse of multiplication, which is division. And I'm going to divide both sides by the value that's in that multiplication. So the whole amount that the store bought the jeans for is what we get when we divide 28 by 1 and 15 hundredths. Now, when I did that division, I got a decimal that filled up my display on my calculator. Because this is money, I only need to look at the first 3 digits after the decimal point. And the question is this going to be equal to $24.34 or is it $24.35? So we look next door to the 7, and the 7 tells the 34 cents to go up another penny. So the amount that the store paid for those jeans was $24.35. Remember, the store is going to pay less for the products that they sell in order to make a profit. The key concept reminds us what our percent proportion looked like and what our percent equation looks like. The percent equation is the one that we are going to use most frequently. And what we need to remember is that this percent number in our equation must be in decimal form. So you are either dividing by 100 or use the percent key on your calculator to change that from a percent number into its decimal equivalent. Let's try a couple of questions together. Number 4. An auto insurance company pays 12% commission to its agents for each new insurance policy they sell. How much commission does an agent make on a $1,000 policy? So going back to our percent equation, it says part equals percent times whole. And what we're looking for is the part that is the commission amount. How much money does that agent make? The percent that they make is on decimal form, so 12% equals 12 hundredths. Remember, percent means out of 100, so if it's two numbers in the percent like that, then we can just put it in front of, put the decimal point in front. Use your percent key to do that on your calculator, and the whole is the cost of the policy, which is $1,000. So how much money does that insurance agent make on a $1,000 policy? Well, you need to multiply 12% in its decimal form times 1,000, and you will find that the agent makes $120 in commission. Next, let's do number 6. Bill paid $35.99 in tax on a laptop that cost $449.99. About what percent sales tax did Bill pay? So we know that we're going to be rounding at the end because we see the word about. So let's go back to our percent equation. Part equals percent times whole. What we don't know is the percent. They tell us that that's what we're asked to find. What percent is the sales tax? What we know is the part. The part is the tax amount, $35.99. The percent is what we're looking for, and the whole is how much did the laptop cost altogether. Okay, now remember, don't do any rounding until you're completely finished. In order to find this percent, we need to divide, because this is a multiplication equation, we're going to divide by that $449.99. And what we get is the decimal version of our percent number. Now the decimal version looks something like this on your calculator. And it keeps on going. In fact, mine fills up the display. In order to change this back into a percent form, we need to multiply that number by 100. So don't clear your calculator out. Leave that nice long decimal in there and just hit times 100 and then the equal sign again. And you get a percent that is equal to about 7 99/100%. So about what percent sales tax did Bill pay? About 8%. That would be this value rounded to the nearest whole number. Now I want you to try a few problems on your own. You're going to pause the video while you try these problems and then come back and check your answers when you're finished. Make sure to mark any questions that you have so that we can go over them together in class. Pause the video while you try question numbers 7 through 13. Again, you're going to work on this page only right now, numbers 7 through 13. Remember to pause the video so that you can do the work and then you'll come back and check your answers. Now it's time to check your answers. Remember to mark any answers that you're not sure about so that we can talk about them in class. Now that you have finished the work through question 13, you're ready to have that discussion in class and possibly do some more problems together to make sure that you're ready for your assignment.